Hello again. Hello again. You have made it. You have made it to week 30. Yes, you have made it to week 30. So glad you're here. Welcome back. Welcome back, Kingdom Builders. Welcome back, Dominionaires. Welcome back to building your business in a sustainable way. And so we've been working through our Dominion framework that we use here at Anticipate Dominion. And this week we're at the first at the letter M in Dominion. We're at the letter M, and M stands for Master Kingdom Economics. Yes, we want to master kingdom economics. And so, we always begin with a scripture. And this one is probably one that you have read before because we've all read Proverbs. It's the book of wisdom, but we tend to read them quickly. But this one, I want us to dig into a little bit more this week. And it is Proverbs chapter 10, and it's verse 2. And it reads, Ill-gotten gains do not profit, but righteousness delivers from death. Ill-gotten gains. And the most typical reading of this verse, that phrase gets interpreted very narrowly, right? Because it's usually used as a reference to theft, to fraud, to criminal dishonesty. And we get that. We're not worried about that by any of us here in this group. But it includes those things for sure. But ill-gotten gains is more than that. And it takes on many forms that do not feel like theft. And so we want to talk about them today. Under delivering on what was promised, pricing services to the point of client harm, withholding information that would change a client's decision, yep, or structuring agreements that favor the owner so heavily at the client's expense. And when we're generating revenue through practices that are technically legal, yet they produce outcomes that are not genuinely in the best interest of the people being served. Yeah. None of these feel like theft in the moment, especially in a culture that celebrates these kinds of aggression in the business world. But most of them even feel like you're doing good business because we don't talk about it this way. And we have started to chalk it up to this is just the way business is done. Yet, our scripture today actually sheds light on some things. And it's not often in the practical way that you tend to think about ill-gotten gains. But when we deal with mastering kingdom economics, it begins by taking a real serious look at this verse, even if it makes us feel uncomfortable because we might have developed some habits based on what we thought was appropriate because we see it being done around us. But today, we really want to unpack this. Now, the first thing I do want to hit head on is the fact that, and we've been talking about this, and hopefully you get it by now, that your purpose and making a profit, they are not in tension with each other. They're not pulling against each other, actually. The belief that purpose and profit are, counter each other, that somehow purpose uh, is a genuine mission, meaning that you're supposed to accept a lesser financial return, or that if you do have a strong financial performance, that that's somehow evidence that you have compromised values. It is not actually a kingdom economic principle. That mindset is a distorted one. So this belief that purpose and profit are work against each other is error. It actually is theological error because purpose and profit work in sequence. So a business that um, serves the right people, solves a real problem with genuine excellence, and delivers what it promises, pricing done in a way that's honest, and managing your finances with discipline, this these kind of habits, these type of practices ought to make your business profitable. So, not as a reward for virtue, although it is a reward, but as this is the natural result when you provide real value in the marketplace in exchange for fair compensation. The result should be profit. So, purpose defines who you serve and what you offer. And profit is what is a well structured, well delivered, purpose driven offering that generates value when it's doing its job. So the kingdom economics problem is not about profit. The problem is that we have divorced profit from genuine value creation. We are meant to create value for others and ourselves. When we don't do that, that means we're extracting, we're taking away, which is masquerading as a service. And revenue generated through practices that cost people on the other side of the transaction more than they receive, that's extraction. And that is not kingdom economics. So when we talk about mastering kingdom economics, we mean building the financial model that makes genuine value creation sustainable. Not choosing between should I be mission driven or should I make a margin profit, but actually designing your business so that one, your mission funds the other, profit with integrity. So let's take a look at it. Let's look at what ill-gotten gains actually looks like in practice. And I'm sure that this isn't talked a lot in business circles out in the world, but we are kingdom builders. We are dominionaires. We have a mandate on our life, and it means that we do things in the excellency of God. So this is what ill-gotten gains looks like in real life. The first form of an ill-gotten gain is when we underdeliver. So when the gap between what you marketed and what was delivered is wide enough that the client receives less value than they paid for and anticipated, that difference is ill-gotten. Not stolen, but not earned in the full sense of the word either. Kingdom economics requires that what is promised and what is delivered are the same thing, or that the client is made whole when they are not the same thing. This is what we call business value integrity. Another form of ill-gotten gains is when we do extracting or extraction pricing. And this is one of the harder ones that it is harder to grasp, particularly in Christian entrepreneur circles. But let's think about this a little bit. Charging what the market will bear without regard for whether the client can sustain the cost of the engagement, meaning that we grab the money without really thinking about have we priced this appropriately so that our client can sustain the payments required. When we don't do that, we're not doing kingdom pricing. We're doing extraction, meaning that we don't care how much it hurts the client to pay for this. And I don't mean not charging appropriately. I mean charging in a way and requiring payments in a way that is sure that the client is going to default, and that we are banking on the client defaulting because we have quickly made some money and won't have to deliver fully on what we agreed to. That's extraction. And so a client who cannot afford the ongoing cost of working with you, but feels the pressure into making that financial commitment. I know all of us have gone to um, timeshare presentations, and they use the hard sell. Well, Kingdom entrepreneurs, we don't do a hard sell because we don't extract, knowing that we're going to pressure the client into getting into a financial situation that they can't keep up, and that it will cost them when they default, and that we are counting on that default as the way we make a profit. That's called extraction, and that's not kingdom economics. So that's exactly what our scripture is talking about when it says ill-gotten gains. Do not make a profit, because that is not the way the Lord, who gives us the power to make a profit, it is not the way he would do it. Yeah, so think about that. Another way that I see ill-gotten gains done in the marketplace is when we have what we call information asymmetry. That's when you know something about what you're offering, whether it's about what the results are really going to look like, or what the methods are that you're going to use, or even what the limitations are um, that you will have to be bound by. If you know those things, and if the client knew those things, they would make a different decision, and you don't tell the client about those things, then we have information asymmetry, because it means you're holding back vital information that the client would need to make an informed decision. So if when you withhold it, the revenue generated from that withholding is not honest revenue. Kingdom economics requires transparent disclosure, even when transparency costs you the deal, because you want the client to know exactly what they're getting into and exactly what they have purchased from you. And if the only way you can get the client to agree to purchase from you is by withholding information from them, then that's what we call ill-gotten gains, making a profit. So kingdom economics requires us to be upfront with our customers and our clients. And when you realize that the only way you can get someone to do business with you is that you lie by omission, then we have ill-gotten gains, and that's not us. Then the another way, and I'll end with this, is when we have structural advantages. So this is in the way that we set up our agreements. And I just bring to mind, all of us remember the record business way back in the day. And record labels took advantage of the artist because the artist didn't know any better and the artist didn't think that they had any power to say no. So a lot of times people will throw a contract at you and say, well, this is our standard agreement, which is meant to be off-putting, saying that this is the way we do business. You have to agree to this, and there's no negotiation. That's having a structural advantage because um, when there are penalties in your agreements, if you have like really harsh penalty charges. If there's no way for the client to fix something or have a recourse, if the deadlines are so strict that it's it's certain to cause a default, then we have agreements that are structured in a way that the other party, your client, is only going to lose. So this is structural ill-getting or ill-gotten gains, and they will eventually surface. It will surface in your reputation. It will surface in legal exposure because sometimes, a contract can be so harsh that the law says this is ridiculous, it's unconscionable, and they will kick out the contract. So we don't want this. Now, in the Dominionaire Network, we really unpack this a lot because we're building businesses and we want to structure our businesses in a way that our clients grow with us. And so we take a real deep look at ill-gotten gains, especially because a lot of times you just don't know that this is improper. You think that this is the way business is done. So what I want you to do is run your current business practices to the degree that you have practices now, because I know a lot of you are in the early stages of your business, but look at the way that you have been doing things, the way that you have set things up. And I'm not looking to find fault. We're looking to find where there are areas that we didn't notice this was the way we were doing business. And this is a time that we can make corrections. So the second half of our scripture of Proverbs 10 and 2, I don't want to forget as well. So it's easy to concentrate on the ill-gotten gains part because it's harsh and it's startling. But the second part of this verse says, but righteousness delivers from death. And that is something that is important to understand. In the economical context, right dealing, righteousness is not just an ethical constraint, it is actually structural protection. Businesses that are built on honest value creation that deliver what they promise, right? We want to deliver what we promise. We want to price fairly. We want to disclose accurately, right? And that doesn't just mean telling, it means not withholding what you should tell. And having our agreements, our contracts done in a way that's win-win, right? So when we do business that way, we can survive in the marketplace where most extraction businesses, they will crumble. They they may not survive market shifts because the clients don't trust them. And at the first opportunity to get out of a contract, that is so disagreeable to them, they will take that opportunity and you'll lose that client in the long run. So we want our businesses to survive market shifts because we have client loyalty and rightly gained client loyalty, We want our businesses to survive regulatory scrutiny because you just need to understand the era, ERA, that we're in, the season that we're in, is that the enemy really doesn't want us to succeed. And so, at any opportunity to find a way for us to stumble and fall, they will pounce on it. So we want to make sure that we have filled up any holes, any gaps that would let the enemy into our business. And that can come in the way that we comply with regulations, which means we have to stay on top of them, right? So if we have a practice of staying on top of them, it doesn't become onerous and we don't have missteps. We want our businesses to be able to survive competitive pressures, right? Because as you enter the market, or even for our trailblazers, you are creating markets. Well, once you enter, other people are going to follow you, and that's going to create competitive pressures. So, relationships that are built on genuine value, they will sustain much better than making the quick dollar at the expense of your client in the long term. So, those are the kinds of businesses we are building. We are building ones that survive because our reputation is healthy and strong. We don't get bad reviews because we really take well care of our customers and our clients because we're here to care for them. We are serving them. On the other hand, ill-gotten gains does not profit, in part because the businesses are built on a weak foundation. So every time that there's an extraction, that creates liability, meaning when you don't deliver value, that exposes you to complaint. All right. Um, Even when it's not immediate, little by little, every client who served poorly, they become a risk. And so every agreement that favors you over time, um, your business will come to be uh, ill regarded. People won't have affection for you, and which means they'll be looking for alternatives. And in some instances, they will create an alternative just to combat what your business is doing. We don't want to set up that kind of environment. So, kingdom economics is not just about doing the right thing because it's right, because we should do the right thing because it's right. It is actually also about building the kind of businesses that the right economic practices make it structurally sound. It makes it a durable business and it makes it capable of surviving what other types of businesses will not be able to stand. So, our testimonies profit carries. So the most powerful testimony that a kingdom business can carry is not that it's profitable, although we are to be profitable. It's actually that we're profitable using business practice that the community would find acceptable and to be replicated. We are the models, we are role models for our community. So, the most powerful testimonies of a kingdom business is that it's profitable and that the people that the businesses serve are generally better off for having worked with your business. So it's that combination of financial health and genuine client benefit that's held together without compromising either. You are meant to be financially healthy. Your business is meant to be profitable. We just have a way that we go about making profit because the Lord is who gives us the power to profit. So we are the living proof of kingdom economics. And so we want to demonstrate that having a purpose and making a profit go hand in hand. Your purpose will deliver a profit, and that your business can serve well, it can price fairly, it can deliver fully, and be financially sound. That's our testimony. And it's not just one good transaction. It's that we have built the practice of doing right practices, doing having right procedures across all of your clients. The way you always do business is this way. This is your business value integrity. You are building your business reputation and you represent the king. And that's what mastering kingdom economics is about. So this week, I want you to think about, how are your current business practices when you look at it through the different types of ill-gotten gains that we talked about? Under delivering, extraction pricing, information asymmetry or information withholding, and having a structural advantage that defaults or uh, overwhelms your client. Where do you find your alignment, and where are their exposures? Where are you having some habits, some business practices that are a little more worldly than they should be? Time to be honest. This is the time to fix it. And this is not about being guilty. This is about having an understanding, and now that you have an understanding, you can govern yourself accordingly. So think of it more like an economics audit. Audit how your economics are flowing. The goal is to identify where in your current practices you have standards that don't line up to kingdom standards. And then I also want you to think about the testimony that your clients will have about your business. If you were to ask them now what their experience has been, what is it that they would say about you? Would they say that you go above and beyond? Would they say that they felt pressured into the contract, into the agreement with you? Um, Whatever part it is, we want them to have a great testimony. Remember, our businesses are on purpose, and our purpose is that God gets the glory, and they get it through the way we serve our clients. So, purpose and profit are not in tension with each other. Your purpose is a sequence to your profit. So build your economics that you match your mission, and let your business itself become the testimony. All right. So you know what to do. Drop it in the chat. Let me know what's going on. And if this resonated with you in any way, and or if there's anything more that we want to dig into, remember this is just a little snippet that we do every week to bring these things to light as you are building your business. We're building it strong, right? So that it can last and that it can grow. And so we want to make sure that it has the right foundation, because remember, we're going from foundation to capacity. So we got to get the foundation right, because we want to be able to hold the capacity that God has in store for us. All right. Now, before I leave, I do want to share Some tips on the legal side. Again, as an attorney, I always want to make sure that we have a legal confidence. And so this week, when we're talking about ill-gotten gains, and we've gone into it quite a bit. We've talked about how under delivering your promises creates a breach of contract claim. That's what happens. I didn't get what I was promised. I paid for something and I didn't get what I paid for. That just creates a contract claim, right? And we don't want to have claims against us. Extraction pricing, particularly when we have consumer facing industries. So, um, this can trigger what we call unfair business practices. And these type of complaints bring about regulatory scrutiny. So we don't want to um, we don't want to make um, we don't want to strong arm people into business. Okay. The other way when we're withholding information, there's an area in contract law that says we have to have the material information, meaning the most important information has to be disclosed so that a person can make an informed decision or have informed consent. And so when we withhold that important information, then that's actually what we would call a fraudulent inducement. I know I'm getting very legally technical today, but this comes up more often than you think, and mainly because one, people don't know that this is inappropriate, and unfortunately, because it's done so often, you just watch TV and watch commercials, and you can't believe what commercials are promising, right? Um, and so this is what we call information asymmetry, because they don't tell the important parts so that people would choose differently. So we don't want to be in any kind of fraudulent schemes, all right? So the other part, though, that comes up and we can deal with now is that contract structural advantage. We don't want to be like the evil record labels of past that took advantage of the recording artists, right? We want to treat our clients, our artists well and give them what they deserve. And so, we want to really look at our contracts and make sure that they're not so one-sided that the other party has n- no route towards having a successful interaction or exchange with you. All right. So these are the things that come up on the legal side when we're chasing a profit in unscrupulous ways. So let that not be us. So we really do want to take a look at our contracts. We want to look at our sales strategy. We want to look at what our marketing materials says, and make sure that we're matching what we have promised, make sure that we have the capacity to deliver and that we deliver as promised, and that we treat people fairly in all of our interactions and our agreements. That's tip number one. The second tip that we've talked about this a little bit before, but we want to make sure in our service agreements that we clearly define what will be delivered and define it in language that the client understood before they signed it. And so I have to bring up my AI policing cap again because AI can um, spew out a lot of nonsense that sounds like it's right when it's not right. And so we want to make sure that we really understand what's in our contracts. And so we want to balance protection for both parties because you can overprotect yourself at the exclusion of the other party. And if they're not in a position to fight with you, then we have a one-sided contract, and that only invites trouble. So we want to have contracts that are clear, they are accessible, that we have a dispute resolution process built into the contract. It doesn't always have to go to court. We can go to mediation, we can go to arbitration. We can have mechanisms built into our agreements so that we preserve relationships for later. So I do want you to think about that, that we want an agreement that passes this type of review because it makes better business practice and it makes you more legally sound. So this is the kind of work that we want to do now. We want honest value creation. We want to be transparent. And we want to document things appropriately so that both parties feel good about the arrangement that we have agreed to. All right. So those are your tips for this week. I know mastering kingdom economics is an intentional focus work to do. We have just in this week's kind of touched the tip of the iceberg, but we wanted to get to the most prevalent derailments that I see come up in with founders and entrepreneurs very easily and quickly. So we want to address that now because again, we say that we're kingdom builders. We are God's dominionaires meant to subdue this marketplace. So we have to set the standard for it. All right. So master kingdom economics. Next week, we move on to the letter I, the first letter I in Dominion, and it's innovation through insight. And so I'll leave that right there because we are meant to innovate. God has given us a canvas to work on. And so we're meant to evolve. We're meant to take our services and products to the next level as we are growing and evolving as humans, right? So we want to talk about innovation through insight. God speaks to us and He gives us insights and He reveals His mysteries to us. So we will talk about that next week. I know I gave you a lot to think about this week. I hope that you will. And again, any questions, any comments, hit me up in the comments, and I'll be sure to respond. I know that you are sincere. We are building kingdom businesses, and as they grow, you will be able to withstand anything that comes up in the marketplace because you have built it on a solid foundation. All right. So I'll see you next week.